Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
On this special edition of Carolina Week,
towing in Chapel Hill, you better watch your car, but change may be coming.
Students protesting find out if we're going to be feeling a pinch to our pocketbooks.
In sports, one football player is battling an injury while another is battling his sister.
All that and UNC football has a lot more in common with these dancers than you'd think.
Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Welcome to Carolina Week. I'm Kathleen Whitty. Fall semester has come to an end, so tonight we'll be taking a look back at what's been making news this semester at Carolina and in Chapel Hill.
And I'm Preston Jones. That's right. Our most interesting stories involve everything from tuition increases to transfer students to the Rockettes. But first, towing. Parking's been a problem since the first automobiles came to Chapel Hill more than 100 years ago. And many of you have been complaining about what you have called predatory towing here in town. Well, as Patrick Wright reports, some changes may be coming.
We see them all the time. Tow trucks on a search for illegally parked cars. And downtown, they don't have trouble finding them. You know how it works. You park in one lot and head to another store while a camera films it all. Well, towing company officials say it's your own fault.
We're not doing anything illegal. The reason a lot of people are having complaints and so forth is because they don't read signs.
Yes, sir, we do have that car on our property.
George King owns George's Towing here in Chapel Hill. He doesn't make many friends in his profession, but King says he's simply doing his job.
And we're not in the business just to go down and tow a bunch of cars. We're there to help provide spaces for the customers who are wanting to do business there.
Not everyone agrees. Senior Katie Dyke lost her car in the Noodles & Company parking lot this year. She admits she could have paid more attention, but thinks towers definitely have their own motives.
It just seems like they sort of stalk you, and I think they know that students are kind of looking for a place to park, and they know it's easy to tow.
Dyke isn't alone. Since April, police have received 20 complaints claiming companies like King's are engaging in predatory towing. But is that true?
In these specific cases that I mentioned, these all appear to be within the ordinance.
According to the town's 2008 towing ordinance, businesses must post signs that clearly mark towing areas, towing companies must report towed vehicles to police within 30 minutes, and companies can't charge you more than $100 to take back your car. King says what he's doing is completely legal, and he doesn't plan on quitting. So, if you don't want to end up here, pay attention to where you're parked.
You take a chance, you're subject to be towed.
And that's a message he wants to be heard loud and clear. In Chapel Hill, I'm Patrick Wright, Carolina Week.
Town Council met November 14th to discuss a new towing ordinance. Among the proposed changes, increased towing fees, more noticeable warning signs in towing areas, and towers could have to notify police of towed vehicles even sooner.
The numbers are staggering, a more than 300% increase in sexual assaults on campus. And although those numbers are increasing, officials say it's a good thing. That's because students now have more options for reporting these crimes, and they're using them.
De Silva is a women's studies major, the publicity chair for Project Dina, and an instructor for One Act interpersonal violence prevention training, all sexual violence support groups. Even so, it took her 6 months to report her own sexual assault.
And I was conducting a training, and there was a slide that came up with the definition of rape. And somebody read it aloud, and I just kind of stopped and was like, that's me. That was me.
According to the Department of Justice, 1 in 4 college women are sexually assaulted, but only 5% of them report the assault. But that may be changing at UNC. Starting last year, the university is offering blind reporting. That means a victim can choose to report an assault without revealing names. Assistant Dean of Students Melinda Manning.
Basically, the student can put the information on record, but Department of Public Safety will not conduct a full investigation that of course could lead to criminal charges being filed.
De Silva says this is the right option for many victims.
It was part of my healing process. It's a part of a lot of people's healing process to get it out and admit, yes, this did happen to me.
And there are other benefits to blind reporting.
There's a lot of research that shows that survivors who first file a blind report are more likely change that blind report into full report.
Since blind reporting has been an option, UNC has seen a rise in recorded on-campus sexual assaults. According to the campus security report, only 4 assaults were reported in 2008, 6 in 2009, and then up to 17 in 2010, and the numbers may be even higher this year. But blind reporting doesn't mean the police turn a blind eye. Randy Young at the Department of Public Safety makes that clear.
If we find that there's an ongoing imminent threat to campus, we will have to initiate by law our own investigation in order to at least rule out that threat.
De Silva says it's hard knowing her assailant is still out there, but it was the only way she could deal.
Because there's so many other things that you're dealing with on the inside that when it comes to submitting a report or, thinking about taking somebody to court, it's kind of, for me at least, that got pushed to the back of my mind, and I was like, how am I going to live my life every day?
Blind reporting forms are available all over campus. You can get one from the Dean of Students office or even the bathrooms in the Union. You can also submit a blind report online at safe.unc.edu.
Tuition increases on campus have caused student protests the past few years. And as the administration meets again to talk about increases, we take a look at how students are fighting back.
Education is not for profit. Privatization.
Former UNC student Eva Panjwani is no stranger to student protest or tuition increases. She was there the last time the Board of Governors approved a tuition increase. That was back in the spring.
Looked me in the face and says, don't give up, there's a way. But you know what, y'all, I've looked.
She's looked for 3 years now for a way back into UNC. She dropped out for financial reasons, but tuition keeps going up, and she's still not back. Now Panjwani is joining with Students for a Democratic Society. The group met last week planning protest against tuition hikes.
We have heard, and I have with me here.
Meanwhile, student body president Mary Cooper held focus groups with more than 300 students.
They vary, that it's incredibly important that students know what's going on and they've had a chance to say what they think.
They drafted a tuition increase proposal reflecting their views.
Student power! Student power!
But Chancellor Thorpe says increases are coming to keep Carolina from losing faculty.
Faculty and employees have gone without a raise for 3 years.
Cooper and students packed the tuition task force meeting on Monday to share their views with administrators.
Students protesting tuition hikes here on campus is nothing new. They were here in the spring, they're back in the fall. But the question remains, what comes from these protests, if anything at all?
At least for now, President Cooper and student protesters are fighting an uphill battle. The Tuition and Fee Advisory Task Force approved a plan which calls for a 15.6% increase for in-state students. That's $800 more per semester. Out-of-state students could see a 6.5% increase, amounting to about $1,600 more per semester. Now, no matter what, Panjwani says she's not giving up.
I think giving up would be like, I'm not going to go to college, I'm not going to graduate. It just seems like a longer and longer amount that I'm giving myself.
Members of the Board of Trustees did pass those increases, but they still have to be approved by the System Board of Governors and the North Carolina General Assembly before they go into effect.
If you're a transfer student at the university, there's a 1 in 4 chance you'll never graduate, at least not from UNC. Those are the numbers according to a Carolina Week investigation. And as Cassie Scarsha reports, university officials think they know why, and they're trying to do something about it.
Cruz Santabanez would be a junior at her old school, the University of Phoenix. But after transferring this year, she is only considered a sophomore. That's because only 24 of her 60 hours transferred.
Only a year transferred, basically, so I'm having to do another year here.
Along with losing credit, Santabanez might also need an extra semester to graduate, and she isn't alone. A 2010 university study reports that less than 55% of transfer students graduate in 4 years, compared with almost 80% for regular students. Director of Academic Advising Lee May says losing credits is an unfortunate part of transferring.
It's a tedious process of trying to match an old curriculum with a new curriculum, and some things are just not going to match up.
Transfer students from community colleges seem to have the most difficulty. Only 42% of them graduate in 4 years, and only about 75% graduate at all. Santabanez blames a lot of the difficulties on transfer students being accepted late, registering late, and having difficulties getting into the classes they need.
If I would have had the chance to apply a little earlier, maybe the process wouldn't have been so difficult.
These difficulties are part of the reason that transfer students are significantly more likely than regular students to drop out or be ineligible after their first semester. Associate Director for Undergraduate Admissions, Rebecca Egbert, says she knows things need to change.
I don't think I've seen as much momentum to get things moving and create a much better atmosphere for this particular population as I have over the last, let's say, 18 months or so.
What we really know is that it's important that we collaborate with our other campus partners in meeting the needs of this population.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Cassie Scarsha, Carolina Week.
Dean May says a coalition has been formed to evaluate the transfer process. The most important thing right now is moving the transfer application date up so that students can be accepted earlier and then register earlier. Just when this will happen has not been decided. Coming up, he teaches music now, but he used to play a very different role here at UNC.
If I had asked, will I lose control on meth? Can meth really make you violent? Or, if I had asked, will meth make me steal from my own family? I wouldn't be asking my brother.
Where's your money? Where is it? Give it to me! Give it!
I'm Patrick Wright, Director of Carolina Week, and I am definitely a Tar Heel.
I'm Preston Jones, anchor for Carolina Week, and I'm proud to be a Tar Heel.
My name is Kathleen Whitty. I'm a reporter and anchor for Carolina Week, but most importantly, I am a Tar Heel.
I'm Carolina Week sports anchor Andy Reeves, and I'm a Tar Heel.
I'm Lindsay Hawkins, senior producer for Carolina Week, and I love being a Tar Heel.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you are really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
If you have a story idea, call Carolina Week at 919-843-8292 or email us at carolinaweek@unc.edu. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNC-CH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina 27599. Be sure to check out Carolina Week and Carolina Connection online at carolinaweek.org.
We all remember Virginia Tech. A shooter kills 32 students.
And since then, there have been calls to allow the carrying of concealed weapons on college campuses. Beth Lawrence reports on the effort here at UNC.
Students carry all kinds of things on campus. Book bags, cell phones. But guns? UNC student Jeremy Hodges thinks so.
We want people to feel safe by having handguns on campus. We don't want them to feel less safe.
Hodges helped start Students for Concealed Carry on campus at Carolina. The group is part of a nationwide movement with reportedly more than 42,000 members. North Carolina is one of 24 states with laws prohibiting firearms on campus. Department of Public Safety spokesman Randy Young thinks things should stay that way.
It makes it very difficult in the case of an armed incident or an active shooter on campus to tell exactly the active shooter from those who may be responding to the active shooter.
Grant Anastas King is president of the Tar Heel Rifle and Pistol Club and supports carrying concealed weapons.
I would feel safer. I think a lot of people would feel safer.
Hodges says he believes students would not only feel safer, but would be safer if firearms were allowed on campus.
Because we don't know who's on campus. We don't know if they're armed or not. And by banning all firearms on campus, all we're doing is preventing law-abiding citizens from having them and being able to defend themselves.
Earlier this year, a bill was passed in the North Carolina House loosening restrictions on carrying concealed weapons in parks and bars. But for now, there is no legislation affecting college campuses. In Chapel Hill, I'm Beth Lawrence, Carolina Week.
An Oregon State Court of Appeals recently ruled that the state's university system cannot ban firearms on campuses. The Students for Concealed Carry group is hoping for a similar change in North Carolina.
Well, if you've been keeping an eye out, you might see a familiar face around campus. It's former UNC Chancellor James Measer, but he won't be headed to South Building.
He's probably on his way to teach a class, and as Amy Whitaker reports, she has the former story of the chancellor turned professor.
Former UNC Chancellor James Measer is a music man at heart. After serving as chancellor for 8 years, he finds himself sharing his passion with others, teaching music.
Gradual evolution from the what we call classical music into the Romantic period.
He says being chancellor helped him become a better teacher.
That deepened my view of the importance of education, of the importance of a liberal arts education.
And Measer helped shape UNC's view of the importance of the arts.
It's life. I mean, art is the deepest expression of what it is to be human.
And to give students a place to express their art, Measer played a big role in the renovation of Memorial Hall. He took me inside the Art Center to show me some of his favorite parts.
This shape right here really has become sort of the symbol for Memorial Hall, which really comes from that chandelier.
In addition to the chandelier, he pushed for putting in new dressing rooms, a Carolina blue ceiling, and he enlarged the stage. He also showed me pictures of the construction that made Memorial Hall what it is today.
They've just completely ripped out the old stage house, and it's just open.
I'm standing behind that stage now. As you can see, it's all closed off. Workers made the stage wider and taller during former Chancellor Measer's term. Measer says improving architecture on campus was one of the most important things he did as chancellor, and Memorial Hall is his favorite renovation.
Because of what happens there, because it's where I come from. It's a performing arts.
And what good's a venue without great things happening inside it? That's why Measer created the Carolina Performing Arts program.
The Carolina Performing Arts, we moved the university toward being a really global university.
That's what he misses most about being chancellor, the opportunity to make permanent changes.
Most of all, the knowledge that in that job I could make a difference. I could actually make decisions that affected things.
Measer says he's proud of the programs he created and renovations he spearheaded on campus, but he's happy to be back in the classroom. In Chapel Hill, I'm Amy Whitaker, Carolina Week.
Measer teaches the first-year seminar, Music and Culture. He says he'll teach until he doesn't have the energy, but he also says that won't be anytime soon.
Now, it seems like the football team has been on a roller coaster the past few years. The NCAA investigation, and this year plagued with injuries.
There's been a lot of unfortunate events going on, that's for sure. And coming up, we'll look at one football player who hopes an injury won't keep him from playing one more time in a Carolina blue uniform.
Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business. Up to 40% of businesses never recover after experiencing a major disaster. Make a plan at ready.gov/business.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes off the bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
The 9/11 Memorial is for my 343 brothers who didn't make it.
And for my brother.
This shows the world that we can rebuild.
And that we are strong.
It's for the heroes like my dad.
This year, the National September 11th Memorial opens in New York City. Join us to honor, remember, and reunite. To learn more or to reserve your visit, go to 911memorial.org.
I hope you find a home. I hope you find a home. Hey, maybe you'll be picked next. Maybe you'll be picked next. We've been caged together too long. We've been caged together too long. How come nobody ever picks me? Maybe they're favorite. Pick me. Well, the shelter's closing up for another day. We didn't get picked. I know. Tomorrow. Guaranteed.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Andy Reeves. The UNC football team held its senior day in the regular season finale against Duke, but senior Matt Merletti didn't play in his final home game. Reporter Clint Hanna checked in with Merletti to see how he's dealing with what could be a season-ending injury.
Senior Matt Merletti usually leads the Tar Heels onto the field with an American flag. But after suffering a knee injury on this play against Clemson, there's a chance Merletti won't put on a Carolina helmet ever again.
By the time I got in the locker room and everything, that's when the whole sadness thing hit, and I broke down into tears, and it was just a devastating feeling, the whole thing.
Dr. Elizabeth Hedgepeth teaches sports psychology at UNC. She says that type of reaction to a severe injury is pretty common.
First, they go through grieving because they've lost something. They've lost their identity, they've lost their sport, they've lost what they were all about.
But the injury wasn't as bad as Merletti initially thought. After a surgery that left him with only a few small bandages, Merletti isn't even using crutches. But he isn't ready to play just yet. Merletti has spent more than 1,000 hours practicing football on this field. But if you're looking for him now, Merletti can likely be found right here doing his knee rehabilitation at Kenan Stadium.
Rehab does get a little boring and kind of frustrating at times.
Hedgepeth says rehabilitation can actually frustrate an athlete as much as help an injury.
There's nothing fun about rehab. I mean, it is just bloody boring. I mean, you can only do so many leg lifts. After a while, you just go bonkers.
Merletti says during rehab, he thinks about getting back on the field. But he is also aided by the support of UNC fans.
Yeah, it was extremely eye-opening when I received all the support from people I didn't even know and fans that I did know. And that was a great feeling to know that I had people to kind of fall back on.
Merletti says it would mean the world to him to play one more game in Carolina blue. But the doctors must clear him first, and they're unsure about that right now. In Chapel Hill, I'm Clint Hanna, Carolina Week.
And team officials have said there's a chance doctors will clear Merletti to play in the Heels Bowl game. Matt Kolajczyk is also on the UNC football team and was a standout player in high school. But he may not be the most successful athlete or Tar Heel in his family. His sister is a national champion. Sierra Watkins has more on this sibling rivalry.
Competition is part of the Kolajczyk family.
Is in our blood.
Kelsey, a communications major, and her older brother Matt, a management and society major, look to outdo each other in just about everything growing up. You name it, they've competed in it.
You know, we always were competitive, starting, you know, with like even operation. It was like if one of us won, it'd be like rematch right away, you know.
As they grew up, it was less about board games and more about college scholarships.
So we used to joke around in high school and see, you know, who got more letters from colleges that week or who got more interviews that week.
And if you saw like a letter coming in, we'd be like, who's it for? Who's it for?
Even though they're both at Carolina, Matt, the running back, and Kelsey, the star field hockey player, still like to compete.
It's a fun rivalry.
So who's the better athlete?
I'd like to say I am, but you know, it's tough to decide.
After all, Kelsey is the star of the team that just won an ACC championship, while Matt mostly contributes on special teams. So right now she might have the edge. No matter, the two enjoy representing the same school at the collegiate level.
Well, obviously it's a unique experience, you know, being able to go to the same school as my sister is obviously a good thing.
I always will have someone, you know, behind me if I needed somebody, you know.
And they've sort of made Chapel Hill their home, away from home. In Chapel Hill, I'm Sierra Watkins, Carolina Week.
Well, guys, the fall athletic seasons have come to a close. Kelsey and the field hockey team lost in the national championship game to Maryland, while Matt and the football team have qualified for a bowl.
So fall sports coming to an end, but hoping that maybe we'll get to a bowl game.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you, Andy.
Coming up, we'll tell you what the Radio City Rockettes have in common with UNC football. Up next.
I hope you find a home. I hope you find a home. Hey, maybe you'll be picked next. Maybe you'll be picked next. We've been caged caged together too long. We've been caged together too long. How come nobody ever picks me? Maybe they're looking for somebody different. Pick me! Well, the shelter's closing up for another day. We didn't get picked. I know. Tomorrow. Guaranteed.
When tragedy struck Indonesia and Haiti, the world responded. The famine, war, and drought affecting the Horn of Africa right now is larger than both these crises combined, and the world should be paying attention. Text a donation of $10, but do more than donate. Forward the facts to everyone you know. Forward from our site, forward on Facebook, and forward on Twitter. We are the relief.
If I had asked, if I try meth, will I become an addict? Or can you really lose it on meth? Or if I'd asked, will meth become the only thing I care about? I wouldn't be asking.
All right, can you load me up again?
Over 1 million Americans at risk of foreclosure have been helped by making home affordable. Find out now what your options are.
Home where I belong.
Tar Heel quarterback Bryn Renner has played a big role in Kenan Stadium this year. While Renner has performed on the field, his older sister has been doing some fancy footwork of her own. Now, this is my favorite story of the semester, so we saved it for last. Lindsay Hawkins has a story that will definitely put you in the Christmas spirit.
The spotlight shines on UNC quarterback Bryn Renner with each completed pass. The spotlight shines on his sister Summer, literally. Summer kicks up her heels with the Radio City Rockettes. Has for 3 years, following a dance career at Florida State. She competed for the spot against up to 800 dancers. Right now, the group is performing at the Durham Performing Arts Center. This gives Bryn and his family the chance to see her in action since they moved from Virginia to Chapel Hill about a year ago.
With the spirit, you feel on the rise. Even taxi horns seem to harmonize.
Kind of just taken back by what she does. It's an awesome show, and I really enjoyed it.
And Summer supports her younger brother in every way she can, too.
My friends laugh at me because I come in decked out every Saturday with my Carolina gear on, and I have my iPad and I'm watching the games whenever we have breaks and stuff. So it's nerve-wracking too because I'm doing my job, but I'm still kind of worried about him too.
And although both compete in athletic worlds, their relationship is quite the opposite.
We grew up being really, really close.
Best friends since I was little.
I talk to him every day. We both are really a comfort for one another when he's going through things and I'm going through things.
Just leave each other little voicemails or texts or even emails, so we just try to correspond anyway.
But they still have fun telling embarrassing stories about each other.
He started crying because they took him to the doctor and they said he was only going to be 5'10".
I looked at my mom and said I'm not going to be able to see over the line. And so I started crying and made a huge big scene, didn't talk to anybody for a week.
Luckily, Bryn can see over the line and Summer's tall enough for the kick line. Their parents couldn't be prouder.
So, we're fortunate that our two kids have found something they really love to do, so it's very, very enjoyable watching them do what they love to do.
And both found their passions at a very young age.
My mom said I would get up in the crib and start dancing around.
I would get 11 crayons and then just smash them together and just think they're hitting each other, so it's really embarrassing. So.
Embarrassing or not, the young interest and sibling support has paid off both on the field and the stage. In Durham, I'm Lindsay Hawkins, Carolina Week.
Now that's a great story. It reminds me of the sports story that we did earlier. We have the siblings there at Carolina. We have the siblings, Bryn and his sister. And it's really, kind of neat how the two sports are related. He's, playing football and kicking, and she's kicking on the kick line. So it's a really neat thing there.
A lot of good sibling support here at Carolina.
Right.
I agree.
Right. Well, it's been a great semester.
It sure has. And that does it for this special edition of Carolina Week. Thanks for watching. Good night.